is the charter high school, and then that section, that 23A or whatever it is, that's North Little Rock.
Way up there.
Yeah, they have like 40 or 80 acres right there. It's weird.
Good, how are you?
We will call the regular scheduled meeting of the Maumelle Planning Commission to order for December 21, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Do we have announcements?
Yes.
Mr. Grandma, Mr. Lyon?
Yes, Mr. Chair. It's not showing on your agenda since it just happened yesterday, but we have had a staff review of a replat of lots 49 and 50, reserve phase 1 to lots 49R and 50R. General announcements. If you don't mind reviewing the Planning Commission calendar that's in your packet, I think we got everything right, I hope. Commissioner Gill, and we changed the dates in December, so if I would just kind of double check that, and if you see any errors, let us know. The Goshen annexation, which is up there Stone Canyon, was approved and released from the county, and it's going to the Secretary of State for filing now. Planning Commission nominations are currently out and active, and they will be reviewed at some point. And then December 28th at 5 p.m., which is next Thursday, City Hall map room, we have the Bowers Property PCD community meeting. Since it is a PCD, their development has to go through a community meeting, and then it'll be brought forward to the Planning Commission in January. That's all the announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. Anything further, Mr. Grummer?
No, sir.
Thank you. We'll move to the item of approval of the minutes for the November 16, 2023 meeting. They were in your packets. If you review, have any comment, corrections?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
For November 16th.
Hearing a first and a second, we'll now hear the approval of minutes. All those agreeing say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, motion passes. So we have no public comments tonight on non-agenda items. We do have quorum. I just should say that we do have quorum tonight. And we will open the public hearing. We have no old business. The first item of new business is the code amendment for the planned commercial district. So we have a proposed code amendment for section 94446449, adding the residential use as a conditional use to PCD zone, and section 5473, adding a new land use designation of special use commercial. So this is brought forward by staff here at City Hall, and the applicant is representing the business before us is our planning director, Scott Grummer. Mr. Grummer.
Mr. Chair, this item is amending Code Section 94-446-441. And I'd like to point out, I guess, a couple of things that came up in subcommittee, as well as I'm going to point to your screen concerning the Maumelle Forward. Now, no, the Maumelle Forward was adopted by resolution as a guide for the city. It's not regulation, but it is a guide, and it's a guide that the staff uses for making planning decisions. So when you look at the land use plan as a guide on the Maumelle Forward, the area subject to the town center area is designated as town center. And within the description, Jason, if you'll go to the which that's the area, the location that came up with the potential development opportunities where we have PCD zones. So Jason, if you'll go to the next.
Goals and policy.
There you go. Under the goals and policies for the town center, you'll notice that the area of town center is encouraged to have mixed use. The village center residential land uses are located within the town center and may vary in density and character from surrounding single-family neighborhoods. And the next page, if you'll notice under policy LU 3.2, the mixed use allowance in zoning codes, one of the encouraged to change is revise the zoning and subdivision ordinances to allow mixed use developments within the PCD. And that's really what we're accomplishing here. The point from the original Maumelle Forward and what we have planned on doing, but the potential for development activity has facilitated the need to make this happen. We're making this ordinance request. So with that being said, I just want to point out in front of you, I did provide an extra copy of the ordinance modifications on paper. You'll notice that there is a highlighted, underlined in red addition that was on the original packet. I did not have it underlined as an addition to the code, so I just put it there as your highlight. So I'll kind of go through this and describe the changes. One of the comments from the subcommittee meeting dealing with the east versus the west portion of industrial, we made differentiation within the code that was at that meeting, and I pointed out that dealing with the eastern side, you'll notice under section 94-448 on that first page is industrial uses. There's a description of there shall be no percentage restriction imposed in a PCD on the east side of Maumelle Boulevard, north of Carnahan Drive and south of Union Pacific Railroad. And that's describing the industrial area where we have industrial uses. So there's really not intention to have any restrictions on light industrial in the PCD there. But when you go up to the top under section 94-446, we do describe the area. There shall be, let's see, that's east. So what is defined as light industrial? We only have one industrial zone, the I-1, which provides a detailed list of uses by right and exceptions, which are more heavier in the industrial. Rather than creating a new zoning category for light industrial or creating definition out of the recommendations from the mayor, it was suggested that we describe in the PCD zone what we intend to see in the light industrial. And we don't want that heavy industrial use on the on the west side of the boulevard in our town center area. So that's why we kind of differentiated between the east and the west in there. Now, dealing with questions that came up concerning the definition of what do you define as light industrial. So rather than creating a new category in our zone as light industrial, and as the mayor had suggested, rather than doing that, if we more shared within the PCD zone what we're looking for and asking for, then he preferred to do that. So with that red underlined area, it says the light industrial use is construed to be in character with those of small trades manufacturing, light warehouse, and other types of uses serving the local market and last mile logistics. So then the question would be, well, what does that compose? Well, being that this is going to be in a mixed area with C1, C2 commercial as well as residential, that kind of leaves it open-ended for the Planning Commission and City Council to determine whether these uses are in character of the surrounding area. So what we look at from, what I look at specifically is small trades. I think it was mentioned at that meeting, small micro breweries that may provide a brewery that could distribute, but also provide a retail to the local market. So those are some of those uses that might show up there. Light warehouse might be for meeting that last mile logistic where maybe Amazon has a small little hub where they can deliver packages to and distribute to the local market, but it's not a large warehouse. It's nothing that's going to be of a major impact. And then lastly, you'll notice that we've limited the amount of light industrial usage, and that's under the industrial uses for 94-448, the industrial uses where it says on, let's see, apologize. Keeps it under 20, there shall be, let's see, yeah, PCD zone on the west side shall be limited to not exceed 25% of the combined gross area of other commercial and residential uses. So again, we're limiting that industrial use to a small amount. With that being said, this is in keeping with the goals and the guide of the Maumelle Ford, and will set us up for other PCD zoned areas that can be set up for mixed use. That's all I have.
Mr. Kermer, what does the term last mile logistics infer?
Last mile logistics is typically you have distribution that comes from a large distribution center and it hits several points. Last mile is that point where it gets to the end consumer. So it's kind of meeting that gap between your major distribution hub and the resident. It's kind of a mid-between small, and this way it's under omni-channel type distribution. It helps get the product centralized into that local market where it's going to be distributed to.
And that example was like the Amazon?
Correct, but not a large, so think of Amazon. Amazon is shipping throughout all of Arkansas. Think of them having a small local hub here where anything that goes to the Maumelle resident is going to come to this to be redistributed. Now, of course, that's, most of the time it comes straight out of the center and will come straight here, but it's more of a hub set up like that. But again,
Doesn't necessarily mean it's only gonna be 1 mile.
That's why I asked for, I should have Googled it before.
I think that's a common terminology in trucking.
it is, and last mile logistics is just that last point of getting to that end consumer. So it's kind of getting into that localized market.
It's similar to like a local post office.
Yeah.
That would probably be the best example.
I'd just like to add, see, on the third sentence down, everywhere we have boulevard, and I might have missed one here, is that we make sure we have Maumelle in front of it, just for delineation and consistency.
Okay.
So we're not construed that we're somewhere else that we're not. What is the date on the Maumelle Forward Plan?
2013.
10 years in, any consideration of an update?
Yes, sir, we can certainly do that. We would have to, more than likely would be through a third party, such as Craft and Toll that
Sure.
originally did it. So getting city
Did
council
the,
to appropriate.
Did the forward plan, I'm sure, had probably some general language in there that said it should be revisited
Yes, sir.
every 8 to 10 years or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Good question. Are there any proposed changes to 94-447? Is that being left as is?
That's being left as is.
Okay.
Which one?
It's the middle one on the first page.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. You just provided some consistency there between?
Correct, so that you understood what uses are existing in the PCD area.
This says permitted uses may include, but am I understanding this correctly that that's supposed to be the only things that are allowed in PCD, or how do you interpret it?
Well, I never thought about the may include. We interpret it as those items.
Because arguably, the changes that you're proposing in 94-446, I mean, you are proposing some light industrial. What would commonly be called light industrial, I guess, right?
Well, so industrial uses was already a part as a conditional use under 94-448. So what we're doing is we're changing that from the industrial that is lined out within the I-1 market, which is more, which is a heavier impact than what we'd want to see. And we brought that into a more generalized light industrial. It could, I guess, be said that A might be added, have light industrial uses added on top of that.
So is 94-447, are those supposed to be basically the uses as of right?
Correct.
Okay. And then light industrial will require conditional use?
Correct.
Okay.
Along with
those other two types, yeah.
right, the residential uses which we're adding in.
And communication facilities, yeah.
The communication facilities were already there.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Thanks, sir.
We're here for a code amendment for section 94, 446, 449. If there's no other question, whatever, entertain a motion. This is due pass recommendation to city council.
I'll make a due pass recommendation to city council for amending the code amendment for section 94-446-449.
Thank you, Mr. Ramsey. Here, second. Second. Hearing first and second. Any further discussion on this item prior to the vote? Very good. We'll now we'll take a vote for the code amendment for planned commercial district for the proposed amendment for 94, 446, 449 et al. For the applicant of the city of Maumelle. All those in favor of the amendment as proposed under section 94, 446, 449, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those no. Seeing none, the code amendment for section 94, 446, 449 does pass. We will now hear for the code amendment, section 5473. Mr. Grover.
So this applies to, as you mentioned, section 54-73. The proposed land use category is a complement to the special use residential category that allows limited commercial activities. The proposed special use commercial land use will allow residential by conditional use permit, while the focus is primarily on the commercial aspects of the land development. This allows mixed use developments for which currently the city does not have a standard land use category to allow. So as we have an SUR for a PRD type zone, then we're going to have an SUC for a PCD type zone. And I'll just go ahead and read that land use. The special use commercial SUC, which provides sites for development of less conventional forms of commercial. This category includes lands intended to accommodate a variety of commercial, light industrial, and residential mixed uses located around village and town centers to include live-work units. That is all. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Mr. Grover. Questions? Hearing none, we'll hear.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Andrew.
Scott, we had talked about this yesterday, I think, but I just want to make sure it's clear. Although we do have on the agenda, the next item is going to be one particular parcel recommending that the city council approve amending the land use map from institutional to this new special use commercial. Am I correct that you are envisioning additional parcels also being changed to special use commercial?
That is correct. So Jason actually did an analysis a couple of years ago that I pulled up, and we have about 94 acres of PCD within the city. So there is opportunity for changing the land uses within those PCDs to match the SUC land use. So there would be other parcels that would follow this. And to your point about the next item, and I was going to mention that, that when we get there, that item will actually follow these two. So that is going to be contingent upon these passing through city council and being approved.
Right, and I just wanted to make sure that the record was clear that it's not as though the commission or the city council is trying to create a new land use type just for one property owner in particular, but this is, there's more properties in the city.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, thanks, sir.
Me and Scott have talked about it. I think the intentions are, if not next month, in February, bring in the entire master land use map plan that's supposed to be reviewed every 5 years, so we're well past due. We've been meaning to do it. If you remember, actually, I think it was August of 2022, we brought it as a discussion item, and we have just not been able to move on it, but our intention is to bring that in next month or February with all the comments and land use changes that seem appropriate with the growth since it was last done.
Very good. Seeing no further comment or discussion, the chair will entertain a motion for due pass recommendation to city council for code amendment section 5473.
So moved.
Here's second.
Second.
Hearing the first and second, we'll now take action for the code amendment for section 5473. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries for Code Amendment Section 5473 as amended. We'll now hear on the next agenda item under new business, item number 2, for the land use amendment from institutional to SUC, which we just heard a little bit about under item number 1. So the land use amendment from institutional to a newly proposed land use designation of special use commercial. The city is bringing forth this. Mr. Lyons is going to handle this item. And I think we got a little bit out of close. Are you asking for action on approval or not? Are you just?
Yes.
I didn't.
Yes,
Okay.
we are recommending approval. So this is as our city attorney mentioned, this builds off of the previous code amendments. We are looking, this track on the corner of Carnahan and Club Manor is currently institutional, which there's not a lot you can do on institutional short of fire station or some government, which is not really what's going to be there. So we're proposing to start off with this one from institutional to the SUC to allow a potential development that would have a mixed-use component, residential on the backside, commercial on the front. That's going to be the intent of all of these SUCs, where we noted in the code amendments that the commercial is the priority on all these SUC land use.
And Mr. Chair, I need to correct myself from something I said during subcommittee. I did say that this item was not on the subcommittee agenda, but it was. For some reason, I don't know why I stated that. So I just wanted to point out that the development plan that was previously on the agenda was removed due to comments from the commission and concerns that the application was not complete. After further review by staff and the city attorney, it was determined that under the PCD district guidelines, section 94-452, 1C10, it states indication of the under the submittal requirements, indication of the location of structures and structure dimensions. We agreed that structure dimensions indicates elevations as a requirement for the submittal. So we did take that off, and that will have to follow these processes. But the land use in itself is a staff recommended that we bring forth based on applications that came in. Since this is an ordinance from the city council, it's going to require 3 readings along with the amendment. So we felt just in the since it kind of follows that, if this gets through city council, it will follow those. If those 2 fail, this would fail as well. So this approval on this would be contingent upon the amendments to the zoning and the land use.
So if I understand, I was about to ask you, so as a result of this being 3 readings, there is conviction, I guess, to cooperate with the forthcoming applicant to go ahead and make the change so it falls in line with his application process?
Yes, sir.
Rather than letting him come forth with the application. Because the owner can change, the owner typically initiates this land use change, or does the city?
No, the city does. So typically when there's a request for a zoning change, then if the zoning does not match up with the land use, then staff can make the recommendation for a land use change.
So the owner cannot?
That's correct. Staff has to.
Okay, thank you.
So comment on this, as we're going through the staff analysis, if you all remember, I believe it was in roughly August of 2021, this planning commission did look at a land use amendment at that time, and they were going from the institutional to commercial. The planning commission approved it, it went to city council, and it was denied. And it was mainly denied because at the time, the development plan that was being brought forth was all residential. So I think knowing that, this is also where we feel the SUC would come in that the residential will be a buffer to the single-family residential that's already there, and then have the commercial on Club Manor as Club Manor develops out with the pathway and the Maumelle Mile project that's coming forward.
And being that it currently has institutional, as you mentioned, that's just not a use for the PCD as it is. And I'll also point out to the commissioners that in the staff report that's in your packet, the guidelines for making decisions on land use changes, I'll point out that A is other changes that have occurred in the neighborhood since the land use plan was adopted for the latest amendment. was enacted, well, the single-family residential was placed in with the PRD, whereas that was previously institutional. So that has changed since the last land use has been. So that affects the need for a change in this land use. And then B, whether these changes resulted in a change to the neighborhood's character sufficiently to justify the proposed land use. And yes, I'd say that a single-family detached residential development right behind this land would constitute the change from institutional to PCD.
Well, but the change from the institutional to SUC will move forward regardless of the development.
Correct, yeah, it'll be on there regardless.
Yeah, you're going, as far as you're concerned, or as far as planning staff is concerned, you want to make the change regardless of the
Yes.
developments that's forthcoming or not.
This
whether it
land needs to
makes it or
be,
not.
yes, it needs to be SUC forever.
Okay, very good. Sure. Very good, thank you. Any others? Chair will entertain a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
at the subcommittee, I voiced an objection because I believe we're bringing the cart before the horse again. You're asking us to vote on something that isn't even part of the statutes at this point. The city council has to vote on the prior before this makes sense. Now, I know that we're saying conditioned on, but what's the point? Let's wait until the city council acts before we act on this. So my vote will be no.
Yeah, and I'd ask for that. Thank you, Mike. And I think this whole thing was to be in alignment with the desired schedule that the applicant is desiring to do, which he was trying to come this time as well, too. So, one has to come before two, and you want to go ahead and change it regardless of what's coming. I guess the council can decide whether they want to act on it or not. I guess from a planning commission perspective, I'm trying to understand, I don't know. I understand your question, I understand your position, Mike, and respect it, but.
Well,
We don't have a
certainly,
pending, we don't have a pending, whether they want to change it. If I asked the question correctly, what I tried to get forth, which was a little bit of Mike's concern, is that you want to make the change regardless.
that's correct. And being that the planning commission supports the amendments to the zoning change and supports the addition of the land use change, then I'm asking, basically, it's supporting the actual land use map amendment change. So it's all kind of in line. We could hold off, but I don't know whether we're accomplishing anything by holding it off the agenda at this point in time. But if y'all would, if somebody wants to make an amendment to remove it from the agenda
So
and
you
hold
got
it
three
out.
readings. The thing about it, Mike, is that you got 3 readings on one before you hear 2, then it's another 3. So we're deferring him another 2 months.
Yeah, long
And
time.
you can make it contingent, but I understand your position, so I was just trying to be a little bit, he's not here tonight, because I didn't think that, I thought we were a little bit cart before the horse. But getting the SUC out in front, if the council's okay with it, and moves forward, they can hold if they elect. From a planning perspective, our directors wanted to make the change.
And it's,
Because I also understood from our city attorney that if the city council does do this after the 3rd reading, it doesn't go into effect for another 60 days, which if it did pass, this could come before and have its 3 readings and all match up.
Somebody
Am I not remembering that correctly?
That's correct. For non-emergency ordinances, they go into effect 60 days after they're adopted.
and I guess my question would be, if the ordinance amendments go into effect 60 days and the land use map amendment was contingent to the approval as well as those coming into effect, then the land use would have the 60-day period wait as well. I'm assuming that what's going on here is more of any decisions that the applicant, future potential applicant, or any land transactions that may happen would be at risk if somebody contested within that 60-day period, which is the point of the 60-day holdout. Is that correct, Mr. Attorney? City
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. The point of the 60 days, I think there's a 30-day period where I think anybody can try to appeal it to circuit court, and then the 60-day period is to put it on the,
Okay.
to put an ordinance directly to the voters if somebody was so inclined.
So item 2 doesn't require the 60-day review? Only one?
I don't,
All three did.
Yeah, all 3 did. I guess
Right.
somebody have to draw me a map a little bit
Well,
on the review.
so,
I don't know.
Having been in planning for 20 years, I mean, it is typical for cities, I mean, I've done it here and I did it in Conway, that once there's a rezoning, conditional use, those changes are immediately made to our maps. And it kinda goes into what Andrew's talking about. 99.9% of the time, there is no action by an aggrieved party. So it is, like I said, it is taking a chance on the developer, but if you look at most zoning cases, the developers get the rezoning and they're ready to start moving immediately. So that's just something to note. I know it says 60 days, but every city you pretty much go to, I mean, they're ready to go almost right after a city council meeting. Those changes are made. But typically also, civil plans and site plans and stuff, they're not ready to go for, 30, 45, 60 days anyways for review.
Yeah, but they close on the property.
Yes,
They transact ownership.
correct.
I will say that it's not uncommon to have ordinances, kind of on similar subjects, and one is contingent on the prior one being passed. I think the city council did that recently. So that part of it isn't unusual from my perspective. The fact that the land use amendment is contingent on creating this new land use type.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody know what the time frame is on them buying this land?
Brent, I don't know. He didn't indicate that when he was at subcommittee.
I mean, I would hate to postpone something and then,
I'm okay, I mean, although
You know.
I respect Mike a lot, you guys know that, but I'm okay running it contingent with these 2 items. I'm okay with it, just from a precedent standpoint. And I'm not for sure we've not done it before.
I think we
I
have.
think we have. I'm not for sure, 100%. I can't come to recollection on that, but I think that we've done the land use with contingent upon, I don't know, maybe not been with a code amendment, but definitely with a development, without a doubt.
Yeah, we've done several over all my time I've been on here that has been contingent. And I voted for them, but I think enough's enough. And
Fair enough.
I think it just needs to, if it's, we're being asked to do something and recommend something that's not even approved yet, so.
But the land use amendment proposal is, it would be, or you're saying that it from the codependence being dependent on the SUC? Okay. Could be. So staff is recommending that we do it contingent. We have attorney saying he's okay with it, then,
I'm okay with it.
yeah, we'll just see. But I appreciate it, Mike, too, as well, I understand. So, we run a little lean here tonight, so, well, no, we're all here, so that's good. So, okay. So, I will entertain a motion, regardless of objection or not, please make it in the affirmative.
I'll make a motion to approve the land use from institutional special use commercial for 1605 Club Manor Drive.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Here, the first and second, we'll now take action on the land use amendment from institutional to SUC. All those in favor by say yes?
Yes.
All those opposed?
No,
Motion passes. Close public hearing. Next on the agenda is the city council liaison reports for Mr. Ramsey on November 20.
There was only one thing that, dealt with the planning commission, and it was lining up, changing the time frame on PUD? No, what was it, Scott, do you remember?
Community meetings.
The community meetings requirement.
Yeah. That was it.
Well, Mr. Line stole my thunder, you know, for the December 4th for Stone Canyon up there. He just let the cat out of the bag right out of the bat, so, that's okay. So the annex came through and, so I think they were the second or third reading, but anyway, that was what was on the, agenda regarding planning commission actions. And, Commissioner Ray, you had December 18, which is a few days ago, probably didn't have minutes to cheat from, did you?
Yeah, there was no, items on the agenda that, concern planning commission on the 18th.
Very good, very good. Next month, we're back on regular schedule, so January 2 is Commissioner Smith, January 16th, Commissioner Fisher? Are you, but you're up though, aren't you?
Not to the end of the month.
End of the month, this could be your last
Hey,
one.
y'all put,
It is,
put us, yeah.
unless you re-up, unless you. That's what the rumor is, I heard. Isn't it how apropos that you get to do the last one, the last meeting?
Well, and just,
Fair enough. You barely made it tonight, so who knows?
That's right, got that right.
and gentlemen, if you'll both note, both of those meetings are on Tuesday night this month because of
Thank you.
New Year's and MLK.
Well, Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a safe and Happy New Year. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Heard first, second. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion